not made available for that scrutiny. How do you think Ofcom should be using those powers more clearly ahead of the elections to make sure that this kind of abuse to our democracy is not occurring?
Yeah, and there's a whole host of legislation, of course, that sits behind this, including from the Electoral Commission and the Online Safety Act. But it's really important for us to find ways to ensure that we're protecting our democratic processes, and indeed, whether it be from algorithmic serving of content or indeed foreign state actors. It will not be, it's in the public domain that when the Iranian servers went dark, when there were the conflict with the US, a third of the pro-independence Facebook pages in Scotland went dark because it was being served by foreign state actors. We've seen that from Russia and various other foreign actors as well. So we have to be very clear that the regulations in place need to be implemented. And if they are not, we need to be finding other ways of making sure we protect our democracy. And if I can maybe just say a small tangent, that our public sector broadcasters and our public sector media companies are a key part of that in terms of what we are currently looking at. Can I just stay with my honourable friend, the member from Milton Keynes Central, who I thought gave an excellent contribution in terms of giving the figures of what's happening. But she did ask about end-to-end encryption. We support responsible use of encryption. Of course, it's a vital part of our digital world, but the Online Safety Act does not ban any service design such as end-to-end encryption, nor does it require the creation of backdoors. However, the implementation of end-to-end encryption in a way which intentionally binds tech companies to content will have a disastrous impact on public safety, particularly for children. We expect services to think carefully about their design choices and make the services safe by design for children. And that leads me to online gaming platforms, right? Roblox that she mentioned. Ofcom has asked the main platforms, including Roblox, to share what they are doing and make improvements where needed. And Ofcom will take action if that is not indeed brought forward. So there's a whole host of things that are happening, and we need the Online Safety Act and the regulations that are underpinning the Act to take time to feed through, and I hope that we can start seeing significant improvements, has been reflected by the honourable friend from Sunderland Central. She also mentioned, if I can just touch on deep fakes, I think it's a really important thing in terms of our democracy as well. The government is concerned about the proliferation of AI-enabled products and services that enable deep fake, non-consensual images. In addition to criminalising the creation of non-consensual images, government is looking at further options, and we hope to provide an update for that shortly. It's key to protecting our wider public online, but also fundamentally protecting those that seek public office. So, John, if I can just, my final remarks, just say, make a few comments that the government agrees that a safer digital future needs to include small, personally owned and maintained websites. We recognise the importance that proportionate implementation of the Online Safety Act plays in supporting this aim. We can all agree that we need to protect children online, and I would not want low-risk services to have any unnecessary compliance burden. That's a balance that we have to strike to make it proportionate. And the Government will be conducting a post-implementation review of the Act and will consider the burdens on low-risk services as part of this review, as mentioned in the petition, but also will make sure that the Online Safety Act protects children, is nimble enough to deal with a very fast-moving tech world. And I thank all honourable members for providing, in a very constructive debate, the issues that they have raised, and I look forward to engaging further in the months and years ahead.
Thank you, Minister. Now I call upon Lewis Atkinson to sum up.
Thank you, Sir John. It's a pleasure to have you in the chair for the conclusion of this debate. Can I thank all members for their contributions? I think this was a really constructive and thorough debate that we've had today, where I have to say I've certainly learned a lot during the course of it. I only wish I'd heard some of your statements before I wrote my opening speech. Can I particularly thank the Minister for being so generous with his time and his thorough response and taking interventions, which I think has generated significant insight today, and also the contributions of the Liberal Democrat spokesperson, thoughtfully done, and the Shadow Minister, who I thought clearly brought her expertise on this subject. I particularly thought that the points around the wider impacts on mental health and well-being of the new online world are something that particularly relevant, actually, as the government thinks more widely about its approach, for example, to mental health in its strategy, which I hope will be forthcoming. As the Minister said, my only regret is that the few members of the House who have publicly called for the outright repeal of the Online Safety Act were not present here this afternoon to give their perspective and engage with the thoroughness that I think all members here present have. My final couple of reflections, Sir John, are that I think everyone that I've heard in this debate has been motivated by a desire to preserve rights and our British values, whether it be rights to freedom of speech, expression, and indeed the freedom of association, including those online, such as those through the small online spaces and forums. But as the Honourable Member for Worcester rightly said in his excellent contribution, though, safe spaces online open up space for further freedoms, and the freedoms of children cannot be infringed by freedoms for adults. And I think it was really shocking hearing the extent of the harms that children are suffering under the current environment. I think the motivations behind this petition were nothing about that at all, but it was very much about making sure that those freedoms of association that we hold dearly in this country are able to be continued online through small forums. And the Minister, I welcome his assurance that the government sees ample space for small and independent providers in the future as part of that. A reflection I had over the course of the debate is I think increasingly we're talking about safety by design. And actually, I think a lot of these online forums came about in a world where there was no safety by design. And actually part of the implementation issue is that the tech that has been used for online forums is probably 10 or 15 years old in terms of message boards. And if a new message board was being set up today using new tech standards, I would hope that safety by design would be much more embedded, and therefore the responsibilities that fall to individual volunteers and administrators would be lessened as a result. I think it's entirely natural that the first attempt at regulation and legislation will not ever get everything right and will require evolution. The Online Safety Act was a landmark moment at attempting to regulate online harms. And I think it's fair to say that the consensus that we've heard today is that that needs to evolve, that we shouldn't be looking to repeal, but to evolve at pace and ensure implementation at pace to ensure that we tackle those online harms in a way that is consistent with our British values and those freedoms of expression and association that we've heard about. So it only remains, Sir John, for me to thank again Mr Bainham, the creator of the petition, and the petitioners for their online engagement, I have to say, in the petition process, without which this really informative debate would not have occurred today. Thank you. I beg to move.
Thank you. So the question is that this House has considered e-petition 722903 relating to the Online Safety Act. As many of that opinions say aye. Aye. The contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Order, order. The sitting now stands adjourned. Well done, Minister. Excellent. Very good. Very good. Oh, ban everything. I sent a note to Julia before she got up.